Let's look at the next argument. We're going to go through all three to see how we go about reconstructing these arguments, what the anatomy, what the parts are. So the argument proceeds: all communists admire Karl Marx. Ronald Reagan did not admire Karl Marx. Therefore, Ronald Reagan was not a communist. Now remember, what is it that we want to do if we are putting an argument in standard form? We're going to have to figure out what the premises are and what the conclusion is, and usually we start with the conclusion. Now in this case, after I ask you the question, you can stop the video for a second. What is the conclusion? And why don't you write it down in your notebook? Stop now, write it down in your notebook, and then play it again. Press play once you have the answer written down. Okay. Well, I think once again we have a therefore, and these are also kind of easy, simple examples, which is what I want. So you get an idea of how to dissect, how to take an argument apart. But it looks like we're driving at the conclusion that Ronald Reagan was not a communist. Okay, so that's the conclusion. Now, what are the assumptions, the premises, the reasons for thinking that Ronald Reagan wasn't a communist? Well, all communists admire Karl Marx, and Ronald Reagan did not admire Karl Marx. So there we have our second argument, once again in standard form. And sounds like a plausible, sounds like a reasonable argument, and we're going to, once we get through another example, we're going to start looking at trying to figure out what makes these things, what those characteristics are that I was asking a while ago that makes all three of these examples of good arguments.